So the Cardinals, as we mentioned, 3-game series against the White Sox. A really nice win by the Cardinals last night. They're a terrible team having a terrible season, but you got to appreciate Jack Flaherty, what he did. You know, I thought the Cardinals were, to say the least, vulnerable to suffering a 4-game sweep, but Flaherty really stepped it up. Probably did his part to enhance his trade value. More on that later. And, that young pitcher that the Marlins started, my goodness, what a talent, right? And, for I don't know that Flaherty outpitched him, but he outlasted him because he didn't allow a run in 6 2/3 innings. So, and the bullpen was good. It was tight. I was glad to see Jordan Hicks bounce back, rebounding after that crazy mishap in the game that got away Wednesday. And I expressed that view yesterday's show. I said, look, man, I still believe I've liked what I've seen from Hicks as the closer so much. And even though his gaffe was awful, it didn't really have much to do with his pitching, did it? And I just didn't want to see him lose confidence or something. I didn't want to see him just sort of go into like some kind of funk, but he didn't, man. You know, it's still a tight game, 3-0. We've seen the Cardinals blow games, leads bigger than that. And he got a 1-2-3 ninth. Ground ball, strikeout, fly ball. And Gallegos was good, and Stratton was good. So it was a good night for the starting pitchers and the bullpen guys. And that's, unfortunately, we have not been able to say that too many times this season. So that was a nice win. It doesn't change anything. Well, it moves them to 15 games under 500. And I'm not trying to be smarmy. I mean, it does. I mean, but that being 15 games under 500 ain't going to get them anywhere. And they've been this is now their 64th day in last place this year, including being in last place continuously since May the 29th. They haven't been over 500 since the third game of the season when they beat Toronto at Busch Stadium to take the series 2-1. It's been one of those seasons. And they're still 12.5 games behind the first place Reds, who just simply are saying, I don't think we want to lose. Let's keep charging, fellas. I mean, that team's something else. The Cubs are having their ups and downs. The Brewers are having their ups and downs. You know, the Pirates lost a couple of games. I think it was just a couple out in L.A. So Jim Heuer, now maybe this is smarmy.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, the Cardinals are now only 4 games behind the Pirates, who are ahead of them in 4th place in the NL Central. How about that?
They got something going now. There you go. That's a start. Go run down the Buccos.
I'm sure the Cardinals are looking forward to the All-Star break. They're going to get a little mini vacation. That's okay. I don't, what are we going to say? Well, you had a lousy first season. You guys should not take any time off. The All-Star break, you should be down there at Busch Stadium working out, doing drills. That sounds good, but 100% unrealistic, and besides, it's not even allowable. I mean, that'd be basically a violation of the collective bargaining agreement between the owners and the players, Yeah. But I understand the sentiment. I just hope that I hope Arenado has, and we'll be back to talk about the All-Star game Monday, but Arenado's been fantastic after the first month. Since the beginning of May, he's been absolutely fantastic. And he had a phenomenal series down in Miami. It wasn't his fault that the Cardinals only won a single game out of 4. He's been great, so I hope he'll enjoy the All-Star break. Maybe deep down inside he would appreciate a little rest, but that's okay. He's a pretty proud guy. And if the All-Star break, if it's time for him to receive that invite to the All-Star break because of the vote of the fans, he's going to go. Last year was a different story. He had some things going on. Let's see. We have the lineup for you tonight. Look, I don't know who the White Sox plan on pitching Saturday or Sunday. The last time I checked, not long ago, they were still listing to be determined. And by the way, I really don't care who they start. So there's no need for, any Jim Heuer or Dave Solomon to be like clicking this on like as if it's some big deal to know who they're going to pitch Saturday or Sunday. We're off the air at 6. What the White Sox or what they want to do or they're going to do beyond Friday night has no relevancy to me or to Jim Heuer or Dave Solomon. I don't care. I do care that Jordan Montgomery pitches tonight, and he'll be followed by Miles Michaelis Saturday and then Steven Matz on Sunday. I hope that Jordan Montgomery continues to, last 7 starts, 1.66 ERA. He's been one of the better pitchers, starting pitchers, and this is a fact. It's not, it's not an opinion. It's actually both, but it's fact-backed. He's been one of the best starting pitchers in the National League this year. He still remains underrated, even locally. But he's been good. I hope he keeps it up because Cardinals, I'm sure they will have an opportunity to trade him. I don't know if they will, and we're going to talk about this when we get some time. It's a complicated situation with Montgomery and Flaherty, and Derek Gould was talking about that with us on yesterday's show. It's just not as simple as saying, trade him. You get something for him. It's really not that simple. It really truly isn't, and we'll get into that later. They have a couple of different ways they can go. But Jack Flaherty's had 2 great starts in a row. He's got Flaherty's ERA since that wipeout against the Angels in early May. His ERA is like 3.06. I mean, that's fine. It's more than fine. He had a couple clunkers in there, but what the heck? So him and Montgomery have been doing a really good job. So I hope that Montgomery can continue to do that tonight because, number one, I like him. I just do. I admire the way he pitches, and he's a rugged guy. He gets after it, and frankly, this isn't a guy. I'm talking about Jordan Montgomery. This isn't a guy with overwhelming stuff, like the kid we saw for the Marlins last night, where you're like, whoa, how do you hit that? He's not that guy. And if anything, Jordan Montgomery to me underlines the abysmal nature of this rotation overall, because he's the standout. He's the ace of the staff. And as I just said, he does not have overpowering stuff. No one's going to put him on the top 10 list of major league starters. No one's going to put him in the company of like the very best pitchers of this current time. But he's really, really good, and it just shows if you've got the bulldog in you, you know what you're doing, you compete like a madman, you're totally professional, and you just don't back down from anything. You sort of self-correct as you go along. You can be a good starting pitcher. And you think that some of this would rub off on his teammates, or I should say his rotation mates. Steven Matz has got stuff as good as Jordan Montgomery. He does. What Montgomery's approach is really simple. He doesn't have like a bag of tricks. He doesn't have 5 different pitches. He really, really doesn't. He throws the sinker. He throws the changeup, the occasional curve, and that's it. I mean, it's just, and so you look at that and then you look at Matz, and I'm still rooting for Matz, man. I think he cares. I think he wants to do well. But Montgomery makes all these dudes look bad, including Flaherty, even though Flaherty's on a better track right now. He makes Michaelis look bad. I know that. Wainwright's in a different category. Liberatore is in another different category. So I'm talking about primarily, we're talking about Montgomery, Michaelis, Flaherty, and Matz, basically. That's kind of the body of comparisons right now. So anyway, I hope Montgomery keeps it up because I like him. I respect the way he pitches, and he makes the most of his talent, which you cannot say about any Cardinal starting pitcher right now other than him. And the other thing is it would enhance his trade value if he just keeps chucking it the way he has. even though, as Joe Sheehan schooled me on the other day, and I went back and read Joe's piece on this, the idea of like a walk-year pitcher, a walk-year starting pitcher or reliever is going to get this big bounty in a trade return. It's no longer realistic. It used to be that way. It's not that way anymore. Front offices are like, well, we're not going to give up our top, some of our top prospects to rent a guy for a couple of months. We're not doing that because of course Montgomery can become a free agent after the season. And again, I'll try to explain some of this as we go along. I'll try to pick out a spot because we have John Denton coming up in a matter of minutes. So we'll see what the Cardinals do this weekend. We'll see if that win in Miami leads to anything. I don't know what else to say. We'll talk about it Monday, right?
Yeah, I'm there with you on that. We'll see what happens this weekend. To your point, you're talking about Yuri Perez real quick. He was
Yuri
great.
Perez. I'm sorry, I didn't mention his name.
He a little irony today. He got sent down just so they can manage some of his innings right now. At 20 years old, they just want to kind of manage that. And
isn't that something?
Maybe use him later on down the stretch if they're going to, because it kind of looks like they're going to stick around long enough to be in the playoff race. When I first saw it, I went, "Oh, did this guy get hurt?" And I was like, "No, they're just managing some innings on his arm." But he was impressive to watch last night. It's fun. I love when you get a young kid like that, and he doesn't have fear. He just goes and attacks guys, and he's got dynamite stuff. That was good.
You know what? When I saw him last night, and I was doing a little reading about him, even though I'm the knucklehead that just forgot to mention his name a few minutes ago. I was looking at him and, looking at his age, looking at his build, looking at a lot of things. It's just the great talent he has and what he can do. And he's got imposing stuff. And I'm thinking, you know what? That's what you hope Tink Hintz will be in a couple of years, maybe even sooner.
Yeah, good call.
Because, and again, the Marlins they're trying to be really careful with him. Perez, and they should be. He's very, very young. They don't want to load him up with innings, and so what they're doing, sending him down so they can do a better job of managing his workload, that is really, really smart. And I look at that and I think, I wonder if the Cardinals will be smart enough under current management to look at Tink Hintz and say, you know what? We don't have to keep him in the minors for 27 years because we're afraid of innings. And I'm exaggerating. Right. He can make the jump to the majors sooner. There's always a way to manage innings load. And even if it means going back to the minors just to kind of cool it down and not slow down the work rate and all that, he can still be an asset for you. You know what I mean, Jim?
I know exactly, because I was thinking the same thing, and it was specifically about Tink. I'm like, if his stuff is good enough, and I don't know that it is because I haven't seen him pitch, but if it's close,
I think it is.
If it's good enough, then pitch him here. But it's okay to manage the innings while you pitch him here because, my goodness, we've seen enough in the last 2 weeks to know there's plenty of guys up here right now that can't pitch up here.
The Cardinals made a roster move today. Tommy Edman went on the IL, and they recalled infielder Jose Fermin. I think so you say it. If it doesn't, I apologize. We'll tell you about him. There's not much to tell, and I'm not disparaging the guy. He's been in the minors for 7 years. If he gets into a game this weekend, and I hope he does, it'll be his major league debut. They claimed him from Cleveland or the Rule 5 draft or something. But good field. Great contact hitter. In the minor leagues, he only had a strikeout rate of 10%. That's amazing. He just doesn't have much power. But listen, man, I got nothing against the guy. But where have you gone, Taylor Motter? That's all I want to know.
I forgot that name.
So we have a report here. Jeff Jones of Belleville. Adam Wade had an injection in his shoulder after arriving home in St. Louis. Will be down for a bit to let that heal, and then he will see if it helps address the shoulder inflammation. Tommy Edman's imaging checked out fine, but he won't be able to swing for 4 or 5 days. And with Donovan already limited, the Cardinals didn't want to play without sufficient infield coverage. Makes perfect sense. That's why I'm not making a big deal. Oh, that's the best you can do? Bring this guy up? Yeah, that probably is. And, yeah, that you could also say that's a reflection on the Cardinals' inability to, just assemble quality depth. You can say that. So we just did.